November 1, 2011, Newark Airport. Boeing 767-35DR airliner lot is preparing to perform scheduled intercontinental flight LO-16 en route Newark-Warsaw. 220 passengers and 11 crew members are boarding the aircraft, which includes Captain, 57-year-old Tadeusz Wrona. A very experienced pilot, has flown 15,980 hours. Co-pilot, 51-year-old Jerzy Schwartz, who has flown 9,431 hours. 9 flight attendants worked in the cabin of the aircraft. At 4:19 p.m. UTS, the airliner took off from Newark Airport. But 30 minutes after takeoff, the central hydraulic system failed, which is responsible for the release of the chassis. After consultation with the central office of the airline, the crew decided not to return to the airport of departure, but to continue the flight to Warsaw in order to use up the large supply of fuel needed for the transatlantic flight. When approaching Warsaw, the crew informed the Warsaw Air Traffic Control Service that they could not lower the landing gear due to a hydraulic system failure. And the captain decided to circle over the airport for more than an hour to use up the extra fuel and give ground emergency services time to prepare for landing. At the same time, the captain announced to the passengers over the speakerphone that the aircraft had technical problems. Later, the flight attendant said that there might be a fire, and at that moment people began to get nervous and worried. The Polish Air Force sent 2 Polish Air Force F-16 fighters to establish visual surveillance and escort of the aircraft, which confirmed that not a single landing gear was released, and the crew's attempts to lower the landing gear by alternative means were unsuccessful. The airport was evacuated in time for the aircraft's arrival, and the roads around the airport were closed as emergency services were stationed on them. Other flights that were supposed to arrive in Warsaw were cancelled or diverted to other airports. At 14:40 p.m. UTS, the crew with retracted landing gear made a successful landing on runway 33, which the airport fire brigade filled with a special fire-resistant foam to land the aircraft and minimize the risk of fire. On landing, sparks flew from the engine and a small fire broke out under the aircraft, which was immediately extinguished by firefighters. According to the passengers, the landing was so smooth, if the plane would have landed on the landing gear. When the plane landed on its belly, none of the 231 people on board were injured. However, the aircraft received significant damage, which led to the loss of the body. All on board were evacuated within 90 seconds. The airport remained closed to traffic until 1600 hours p.m. UTS until November 3, 2011 to allow debris removal after the emergency landing and then a final inspection of the runway and aprons. Shortly after the evacuation, a team from the Polish State Commission for the Investigation of Aviation Accidents, SCAAI, discovered that the C829 circuit breaker, which protects a number of systems, including the alternate landing gear system, had been deactivated. A preliminary SCAAI investigation report showed that the hydraulic fluid leaked shortly after takeoff, after the landing gear and flaps were retracted. The leak was caused by excessive bending of a flexible hose in the central hydraulic system, resulting in the loss of all fluid in that system. The pressure drop was indicated in the ICA's flight computer and recorded by the flight data recorder. A later investigation showed that a tripped circuit breaker would have allowed the electric motor to release the undercarriage. The switch was reset after landing and the landing gear extended normally. The final report on the accident was published in 2017. The cause of the accident was a leaking central hydraulic hose, tripping of the C829 circuit breaker, and the flight crew's failure to locate the C829 switch during the approach, which may have allowed them to extend the landing gear. Contributing factors to this accident were the lack of safeguards to prevent accidental tripping of the circuit breakers, the C829 circuit breaker, which was located on a partition in the cockpit behind the co-pilot's seat, making it difficult for the flight crew to notice its condition. An inadequate lot operations center procedures and inability to lot airlines include Boeing service bulletin on avoiding excessive bend in hydraulic hose. Polish President Bronislaw Komorowski praised and thanked the crew for the successful landing. Boeing 767, registration number SPLPC, was badly damaged and later written off. By 2013, LOT stopped servicing Boeing 767s, replacing them with Boeing 787s. Flight 016 pilots Captain Tadeusz Rona and co-pilot Jerzy Schwartz were presented for the award. Flight 16 passenger Greg Cohen told reporters,
"We waited for the crash, and we waited and waited and waited, and thank God it didn't happen. It was a very successful flight, very, very good pilots. We are very lucky."